thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I think you all know my name is Scott Kane. I am one of a number of folks on our E-Rate team at Office of Education Technology. Today's session, we are going to be walking through the discount data, which should have arrived in your inbox. And I say should have because I've gotten a couple of email bounce backs, but should have arrived sometime early this morning in your inbox, along with the instructions on filling that out, as well as a blank copy of the Form 479. So today's session is going to be all about filling those two things out and returning them to OET, and then also we'll take a look at updating that information in EPIC, which is also a critical role in this whole process. So without further ado, I will just say, make sure that if you have any questions, feel free to jump in on your microphone and just say, hey, Scott, I've got a question. I don't mind if you do that. I'm very comfortable with that. And if you prefer not to, that's fine as well. Just feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Either Danielle or Caprice will call my attention to it, and I'll be happy to address them as they come along. And in addition, at the end, there will be an opportunity to ask additional questions if you would like to wait until the end. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen today rather than a particular window, just because, whoops, that's not what I wanted to show at all, is it? Just because, there we go. Yeah, we'll be bouncing back and forth between a couple of these different windows. So, the first thing I want to share with you, and we'll talk about what arrived this morning in your inbox to begin with. We sent to you a copy of your discount data sheet, which contains information from both Infinite Campus and from the School and Community Nutrition data site, which I'm not sure what the exact name of that is, but from their database. The CEP data that is the most recently validated that they have so far. I do want to make mention that their next set of validated data is due out next month. So if you choose to wait for that additional information to come out, that is quite all right if you want to use that. If it makes a difference for you in terms of your overall discount percentage, then by all means, we would want you to maximize the opportunities that you have to get as much funding for your various projects as possible. So we will encourage you to go ahead and do that. The Infinite Campus data that we selected and put into the discount data sheets this year is a little bit different in that in the previous years, we have always selected the date that would give you the highest percentage of NSLP eligible students present in your district on that particular date. This time around, we decided that it would probably be best to try and maximize those Category 2 budgets. But there is the distinct possibility, although it's slight, it certainly exists, that you may be if you are very close to, for example, if you're right up against that 70, like you're sitting at about 74% eligible, NSLP eligible, that if you use a different date, it might be able to bump you in above that 75% threshold, and you would go from, for example, an 80 to a 90% Category 1 discount, or an 80 to an 85% Category 2 discount. So which exact data set you want to choose may depend upon how that would play out. So I would encourage you to, if you are sitting very close to one of those thresholds, go ahead and test it, try it out, try different data sets if you want, and use the one that is going to help maximize both your C2 and your discount percentage overall. So if you have any questions about that, be happy to spend a few minutes with you online at a separate time, just kind of working through that if you need some help in figuring out how to play around with those numbers. But basically, it comes down to just entering the Infinite Campus and CEP data for different dates. Well, it'll be the same CEP data because that's the most recently validated from school and community nutrition. So you need to use those CEP percentages that are provided in the discount data, or use the new numbers, the new percentages that will come out in December from school and community nutrition. So you need to use those state validated numbers for CEP. For the Infinite Campus data, you have access to the same information that we do via Infinite Campus, so you can use a different date if you were going to try to maximize both enrollment and your CEP, using CEP to maximize your discount percentage overall. But as I said, feel free to ping me. We'd be more than happy to spend a few minutes and review that with you to try and help make sure that you can get the very most out of the program as possible. I'm going to start. Let me go ahead and just pull this up. We'll start with the discount data sheet. And this is kind of what yours might look like. This is a sample that I created that will match up with the sample that we look at in the practice site or the training site of EPIC. And I wanted to make sure that this example would match up with that very clearly and obviously. You see that in this data sheet you have three different tabs. You have a discount data tab, you have a CEP data tab, and you have an Infinite Campus data tab. The CEP data tab just gives you a school name, the base year, and the identified student percentage. Those are the three critical pieces of information. And then on the IC data tab, the Infinite Campus data tab, you have your school name, the FRAM eligibility, which is combined, free, and reduced, which is what you need, and then the active enrollments and the date from which those numbers were pulled. One of the things that you need to do as you get started is to make sure that both the school names, the names that are listed here, and the non-instructional facility names, those sites, and the USAC numbers all match up. You should be able to cross-reference pretty much on a one-to-one basis, unless you happen to have a building that is getting ready to close, or a new one that's getting ready to open. You should have a one-to-one ratio between schools and non-instructional facilities on this sheet and in EPIC. If you don't, and you have old buildings that have closed long ago, please contact customer service at 888-203-8100. That's USAC's customer service, and ask them to deactivate or to delete those from your active schools or active non-instructional facilities, so that they do not end up making a difference both in your data, but then also in the state's network application, because as many of you are aware, the data that you enter into EPIC gets automatically pulled into the consortium application that we do at the state level for our state network consortium. So if you would, just make certain that all the entities listed will be open and are listed in EPIC, and then you can move on to the next step, which would be a copying of the enrollment data from the Infinite Campus data tab to the discount data tab. And what you need to copy over in this case are the active enrollments. In some cases, it's easy enough to just do a copy and paste, or Command C and a Command V. I recommend that when you do the pasting, that you always use the paste values. This will apply the existing formatting to what you are pasting. If you don't, you can end up impacting some of the calculations that occur on here. So I recommend you use the paste values in any opportunity that you have if you are using that. You can also make sure that doesn't happen by hand entering it as well. In the example that we have here, you'll note that we have one school that is a participant in CEP. and then one school that is not. So school A is a CEP participant and school B is not. So let's start with school A. We have our total enrollment entered. We need to come back. In this case, we have 213. We'll copy the 213 back to column D, where the total NSLP eligible students is. We'll paste that value. And you'll note, by the way, that it begins to create the calculations up here, which will give you your overall discount percentage, both for Category 1 and Category 2. For CEP schools, the approach is slightly different in that you do need the total enrollment. The total enrollment will come from the Infinite Campus report. Please do not use old CEP enrollment data. That is incorrect, and you are, according to E-rate guidance, you are supposed to be using the most recently validated enrollment data, even though the CEP data or the CEP percentage might still be carrying over from a previous year. So please make sure that you're aware of that and that you are following through with that. On the CEP side for school B, we're going to take this 56.72 and we'll copy that and we'll come over to our discount data. And this is going to go into the ISP or the column G. And again, you're going to want to make sure that you paste the values. Oh, look, there's the formatting issue again. If that occurs, you can simply correct it by adding the decimal in the proper place. And then you'll notice that it does a calculation in the background that uses the 1.6 multiplier to account for students who might be eligible for reduced lunch, but who are not included in these certification percentages. Once you get this number calculated for you, it does also then need to be transferred over to column D. So we'll copy that. And again, we'll paste the value. And we have now just about completed the process. Note that the other thing that for CEP needs to be entered is the base year. So we'll take a look. In this case, the example is from 2024. Oops. And we'll go over here and type in 2024. It does not need to be a school year, just as the base year is the year in which that data was collected. So it's just going to be a single year rather than a school year.
Scott?
Yes, questions?
Yes.
Good.
Craig Smith has asked, does it matter that in the CEP data, that the CEP data has a base year of 2022?
I'm glad you asked that. For 2022, let me see if I can figure out exactly how I want to say this, because what we have here, excuse me, is a failure on somebody's part to understand somehow just exactly how these things are done. USAC, for whatever reason, seems to interpret that base year as the first year that data was used. But oftentimes the data that's collected in 2022 isn't used until the 23-24 year. So it would be 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26, and then what we're going into, 26, 27. That would be the fourth year that you would be allowed to use that data. However, when the reviewers who don't quite understand some of the subtleties of CEP and some of the arcane ways that these things are calculated, they will see that and say, oh no, we can't have 2022, because if 2022 was the first year that data was used, that would mean that then you would, in 26, 27, you would be going into a grace year, and then they will ask you during PIA for either for updated CEP data, or they will ask you for data that, or a verification letter from the state that will say that you are in the grace year. I have had conversations with our school and community nutrition folks, and they don't really do the grace year thing. They will make sure that everybody gets new numbers at least every 4 years. So if you have data that is listed as 2022, and there are a handful of them out there, I would encourage you to wait until you get the new set of numbers in December. When we get them, I will be doing some cross-referencing, and I'm going to reach out to folks and say, hey, we do have a new data set for your CEP. Here it is, and if you want to update, we'll have you either update this, or if you want to just wait and then submit it once you've gotten that data, that would be fine as well. So, Craig, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Excellent. Good deal. Great question, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll wait till you get the data in December, and then we'll go
Okay.
from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Scott, we do have
yes.
another question for you.
Awesome.
So if we qualify for CEP as a district in a grouped percentage, we use that, correct?
You can, or you can use the individual schools percentage, and you would, but the group percentage is fine, yes. So there may be instances where the high school itself would not qualify on its own. And so they group schools so that when you combine those two schools together, the overall percentage is above the eligibility threshold for CEP. So yeah, if you want to use those group percentages, feel free, that's fine.
And then Jesse wants to know, do we need to contact you if we have 2022 data, or will you just reach out when the new data is ready?
I'm going to reach out when the new data is supplied to me. You actually might receive it a little bit before, or somebody in your food service might receive it a little bit before I do. But if you just want to wait for me to send it out, that's fine too. Not a problem. And what I'll do is I will take this form and I will drop the new data into the IC tab and send you a copy. Hopefully that answers the question.
And I think those are all the questions we have so far.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. So that really should cover, and obviously we only have 2 schools on here and, one non-instructional facility. So it's not a particularly complex process for smaller districts. It's a little bit more taxing for our larger districts, but I think for the most part, the only other thing that I would mention besides talking about this certification box in a moment is that if you do use that copy and paste, please do make sure that the order that you are copying from, for example, the IC data, that the order of the schools is the same on the IC data before you copy it over the discount data. Otherwise, you're going to be putting in the wrong numbers for each school. To wrap up the discount data, the date of the data is going to be the date of the data that's shown in the IC tab. So that's the date of your active enrollments for that particular day of the year. District E-rate coordinator, that's you, or presumably you, or whomever is going to be filling this out. And then the date that you complete the form, if you would date that as well. The signature does not, we don't require a handwritten signature. We would like you to please send this back in Excel format rather than in a PDF. We ask that so that it facilitates aggregating this data together and then submitting it to USAC, because ultimately we will aggregate all of these, the data from all of these forms and submit it to USAC so that they can use it for validation on your applications once the filing window opens in January. So you'll fill that out here and fill out the certification box, do a save, and then we would ask that you would upload it to the, oh goodness, I thought I had that open. Oops, wrong one. There we go. We ask that you would upload it to your district's folder in the E-rate district collection site. You can go to your district documents link on the left-hand side. Now you're going to see, right now, you're going to see all of the districts. You won't see all of them. You'll just see your own and you can enter, or you can use the upload tool to then upload both your completed discount data form, and then you'll do the same for the Form 479, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Yes.
Couple of questions.
Okay.
So Angela wants to know, she says, my CEP data shows 2024, so I'm good to go, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That is
and
correct.
Then Leslie says she doesn't see an EFY 26 DD in her district collection site.
That's, yeah, because 26 hasn't been loaded there. We send out, we don't put a blank copy or an incomplete copy in your district documents. We only put the completed versions in those.
Scott, this is Randy Bailey. Let me jump in real quick. I just
Sure,
verified
Randy.
with my food service director that my base year has been reset for 25-26.
Okay.
So the 20, I'm assuming in their program, it says 25-26.
Yes.
I'm assuming that means 25, right? Because last
Yes.
year, it's the start year, not the ending year of that cycle year.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
in
mine
this
has
case,
been
yeah,
reset now.
okay. Yeah, and then and if you already have access to that information and that data, and you want to go ahead and use it, feel free, Randy. That's
Okay.
I'm glad that I kind of figured. I've been in touch with Timothy Cooper over at School Community Nutrition, and I know that the process is in progress right now, and I know that's been completed for a number of districts already. So yeah, if you've already got the confirmed new numbers, feel free to use them.
Yeah, I've got a screenshot to file with my paperwork.
Excellent. Yeah, you want to keep a copy of everything that you reference. That's for certain. That's for certain.
Couple more
All right.
questions, Scott.
Oh, good,
Sorry.
good. No, don't apologize.
So Leslie is back in the chat. So will her EFY 26 DD be emailed to her?
It should have been. It is. Leslie, feel free to just jump in on audio if you want. Are you listed as the primary E-rate contact in the district contacts for the E-rate district collection site? Because that's what I used. You know, we have a list of. Actually, I could probably check it. Leslie, where are you? What district?
Harrison.
Harrison. Okay. I did get some bounce backs, and no. Okay. Leslie, I will make a note to forward that to you. It did end up in Richard's inbox to start with, but I will make a note to send that to you. So let me start a little notepad here. Leslie. And okay, got that, and I'm just making a note in my phone, and I will follow up with that as we get off. When I get off here, when we're done with the training, Leslie, I will forward that to you right away.
And then Cindy, just wanted to confirm. So she's got 2023 base year data. That is fine, correct?
That is correct. That's fine.
Okay.
No problems with 23. The only issue is with 22 or prior, which I don't think anybody has prior. I think everybody's 22 or later.
All right, that's it.
That's it. Okay, good. All right, then let me move on to adding this data, adding our discount data information into Epic. All right, so once you log into Epic and you're ready to update your numbers, the easiest way, I think, really to get to updating the numbers is click on the welcome in the underneath the logo on the landing page. And then, well, actually, I take that back. It's probably easier. It's probably quicker now that I think about it. There's a couple of different ways to get to the same place. If you scroll down and you go to My Entities, if you go to School District or School A, and once you're ready to enter the information, make sure that you click on the Manage Organization button. And that will now allow you to make changes to any of the information that's here. If there's been a change in the physical address, maybe there's been just a change at the post office, or maybe there was a new school and you've moved the old school to the new building in a new place. Please make sure that all of this data is up to date as much as possible. And then scroll down, and when you scroll down, you'll sooner or later we'll get to while we're here, make sure that you take a look at the school types and subtypes. Some of you might have pre-K or Head Start checked off. We don't include pre-K or Head Start. Now, if you have Head Start in a particular school, or pre-K in a particular school, you still need to have that checked off because it's asking whether or not those schools or those programs exist in that school. But we do have a handful of schools that I've seen that don't actually have a pre-K population or a Head Start population, but they, for whatever reason, have these checked off. So you just want to make sure that these apply or don't apply, and so they are or aren't checked off based upon whether they do or don't apply. Another thing that you might want to make sure you've done is for your districts, for the districts that have a CTC or an ATC, make sure that for those, because we count those, but because those students are counted at the high school where they are initially enrolled, you end up putting in zeros for those for both NSLP eligible and enrollment. Those schools are considered to be general use schools, so you would want to make sure that you have that checked off, particularly for ATCs. That's going to be common. You might also have an old school building that is still being used for general instruction, but it's not a official elementary school or middle or high school, but does serve multiple populations throughout the course of the day or throughout the course of the year. Those would also be classified as general use schools, where those students that attend classes or receive instruction in those locations are counted at a different location. All right, so our number of full-time students, this is the old data, so we're going to take that and delete it. Come back to and we got a new number of 376. We'll copy that, paste it in there. And school A is it our CEP? Oops, come on. Oh, don't do that, There we go. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so we'll check no on the CEP, and now we are able to enter the NSLP eligible students, which was 213. So we'll enter 213 here. We're using a standard discount method, so that will stay where it is. School does not have an endowment. This additional data is not required data. If you want to put it in, you can, but it is certainly not necessary. And then the total students for category 2 budget will also be 213. The FCC registration number is actually associated with your district, so you do not need to fill it in here. You'll notice that it doesn't have the blue asterisk, so it is not a requirement for this. There was a day and time way back when in the program when each building actually needed an FCC registration number. That is no longer the case, so you can leave that blank as well. Once you get that change, those changes entered and you're ready and you're satisfied with them, you submit. It's going to ask you for a name for this modification. School, and you might say something like School A 2026 NSLP update. Something along those lines. It's going to be something, again, like for every other nickname that you're asked for, it's really just something that helps you reference what is associated with the action that's being taken or the form that's being filled out. And then we want to just scroll down and confirm that our numbers are new and they're accurate, and they are, so we're good. And now we can go back to our landing page and start the process for School B. Easiest way to get back to your landing page, click News, and then immediately click the logo in below it from the news page, and it takes you back to your landing page. We'll go to School B. And then we're going to manage the organization. And here we go. And again, double check your address and demographic information, groups that might be that may be associated or served by, or the populations that might be served by this particular building. I'm going to take out the number of full-time students, and we will come back to our form. There's 433. We'll copy that, paste it. And then for School B, it is a CEP school. So we're going to take this CEP percentage and we're going to copy that over to the CEP percentage here. It will run a new calculation for you. It applies that multiplier. You may note that there is a difference between of 1 or 2 students between this number that gets calculated and the number that shows up here. Now this one, our rounding works together and works in the same direction. For whatever reason, Excel and Epic will round differently. I think that's because the rounding that happens in Excel is everything that's 0.5 or above goes up. And I suspect, I'm not absolutely certain of this, but I suspect that the rounding that takes place in the background in Epic is that if it's literally like above 0.1, it gets rounded up automatically. I'm not quite sure why, but I guess they figure that they don't want to count any given student as 0.1 of a student, which kind of makes sense. If you see that that's the case and there is a difference on the total NSLP eligible students, you can go ahead and adjust the discount data sheet to reflect the calculation that gets made in Epic. So this might have been, for example, 294 if that was the case. And you see that there is that difference, or 394, and then you would just come in here and enter 394 instead of the 393. There's no validation that takes place on the discount data sheet. Those two numbers don't have to match, and we will know when we see that difference of one student that we will know that the reason why that's taking place. Base year 2024 on here, and it's 2024 on here. So that doesn't require any changes right now. And then our students for CEP budget, or category 2 budget, we'll copy that 433, paste it in here, and we're ready to submit. And again, let's be like School B 2026. NSLP update. Oops. submit. And then you would repeat that process for all of your schools in the district. That should cover the discount data sheet and entering the information in Epic. I will stop now for questions if there are any. Oops.
Can I ask with the microphone?
Oh, please, feel free.
All right. I'm sorry if I missed this. I was a little bit late today. My data worksheet shows the 25-26 data, and on the certification part at the bottom, what is the date of the data that we put in?
Oh, sure. Yeah, good, Stella. I'm glad you asked. It is the date from
I always
the
forget.
IC sheet. Yep,
I always
it's right
forget the
there.
tab.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's on the IC data tab, and that's the date that enrollment was drawn from.
You are an angel, all of you all. Thank you.
Glad to help. Any additional questions? We'll jump to newest. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. I see no additional questions at this point. So I think we're ready to move on to filling out the Form 479, which is thankfully much less complicated than anything we've done so far. It's really pretty straightforward. I'm not going to actually fill it in, but I will run through the different items just very briefly, so that you know what specifically they are asking for. The administrative authority. Oh yeah, jump in.
Jeremy. I wanted to ask a question about that.
Yeah.
At the very bottom of the sheet that you all sent us, it is dated for December of 2013, I believe, but then there also was a December 2016. I just wanted to make sure there was not a change.
In the 479.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that says December 2013.
Yep.
I also have one that is December 2016. I'm sure they're probably the exact same. I don't know if any wording changed, but on the email you all just sent us, it was the December 2013. The one last year was the December 2016.
I will have to take a look at that. I might have a fire to put out here. I don't think there is a difference. I will double check on that, and will obviously jump all over that if that is in fact the case, if there is a difference. But I know that the certifications have not changed, and I think that's the key element here. So I will double check on that. But thank you for drawing that to my attention, Jeremy. That's important to know, and I will follow up on that. All right. So this administrative authorities form identifier, that's basically just a name that, again, it's like the nickname. You're just going to give this form a name that will help you remember what it is. Not that you really need to, because it's your form and you're filling it out. It seems kind of odd, but nevertheless, it's there. Something needs to be put in there, so it could be just 2026 Form 479. Something as simple as that. Block 1 is going to ask you for the basic information, the name of the administrative authority. That's just the district. That's district name. The funding year is going to be 2026. Street address, PO box route number, city, state, zip. So it's just the location of the district. Now, I would use your district, your district board office wherever that's located. So I would use that as your main address for the form itself. Contact person, probably going to be you or whomever's filling out the form. Telephone, fax, if applicable. Does anybody still have a fax? I don't know. I think they still exist, but I haven't used one in forever. And then your email address as well. Then we move on to block 2. Note that these are certifications. So you do want to realize, to be aware, take a quick read through them. You're just basically saying, we are the administrative authority and that we are complying with, or we're applying for E-rate and for eligible services, and we're certifying that we are compliant with SIPA requirements. And then also, obviously, it says, yes, we could be audited for this. It says, there's the difference. I bet that's the difference, Jeremy. It says 5 years. I bet the 2016 version says 10 because or whatever retention
It
period
is.
is
It's
required.
also, it is also a little bit more verbose. It has some additional clarification on funding years, service delivery deadlines, and how all that's
Okay.
affected. So, yep, I was getting ready
Okay.
to type that in the chat for you, Scott.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, Rebecca.
Scott, I just sent you a copy of the 2016 and your 2013, so you can compare the two.
Great, thank you. I will say it was very, very, very late, or should I say very early this morning when I finished setting all these things up to go out. This is a quick side note. I experienced how not yet ready for prime time AI can be. I was using AI to try and help guide me to create a script that would send out all of these emails in a bulk and would just grab the so that I wouldn't have to create an individual email or create a template and then do copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And I spent probably 14, 15 hours yesterday doing that, only to come to the conclusion or to realize that AI wasn't going to be able to help me because it didn't even know that it should suggest, hey, you might not have permissions to be able to do what you're trying to do. Figured out the hard way that, yep, I don't have the permissions to do what I was trying to do. So at about 2 a.m. this morning, I started doing the manual process after fighting with it all day. AI is not quite yet ready for prime time. So if you all use it, make sure you're following up on it and make sure it's giving you the correct information. So yeah, I attached the wrong form. I know I have a copy of that more recent version, but I'll take a look at them and I'll probably reach out to somebody at USAC and see if there's going to be a major issue with that. The certifications, like you said, Rebecca, are probably a little bit more verbose, but the key one here is going to be this item 6 in block 2, and those are fundamentally the same, particularly the one that everybody needs to be filling out. Make sure you fill out this little top form with the, again, district name, the same as the form identifier that you put above, your name or whoever's filling this out, and the phone number. And then your certification in block 2, item number 6. The only thing that you're going to be filling out, or the only one that you should be checking off, is 6A. 6B, C, and D are not applicable. All of us should have gone through the various steps of SIPA compliance. I'll run through that with you just in a moment, but check off 6A, fill out the basic information at the bottom. Note that in the case of the Form 479, it does ask for a printed signature, or excuse me, not printed, but a hand signature. So you will need to fill it out. You can fill it out in Acrobat other than item 7, print it, sign it, and scan it, and then upload it to the EDCS if you would, please. Page 3 has nothing on it that you actually need to complete. Now, with respect to the bits and pieces of SIPA and SIPA compliance, I do want to just take a moment because I know that some folks, well, let me back up. Many, many moons ago, when SIPA compliance became a thing, what you had to do was hold a public hearing, and you had to announce that that public hearing was going to happen before the actual public hearing happened. And by hearing, I say a public meeting. It didn't have to be a formal hearing. It could be part of a board minutes, or excuse me, the part of a board meeting where you just had to make sure that the public had the opportunity to come and express their ideas, thoughts, and or concerns about internet safety in the schools and what they feel is important for the local school to be doing to ensure safety for children as they are learning with computers in the classroom. So you had to announce that there was going to be a public opportunity to speak. You had to then hold the actual meeting, and you had to then also put in place what they refer to as a technology protection measure, which is now, for the vast majority of you, GoGuardian. It was more recently, it was Lightspeed up until very recently. But basically, we're talking about content filtering, something that will keep or filter out the bad stuff from the minors, the bad pictures and the violent stuff and the adult content. When it comes to all of that, there are a number of different things that then you had to keep in terms of documentation to demonstrate that you have in fact got or are maintaining SIPA compliance. Included with that is that you do need to have some form of internet safety policy. That safety policy does in fact also need to show that there is instruction to minors in your district about how to be safe on the internet. So it's not just an internet safety policy in terms of this is what we do, but then this is also what we're teaching the students. And these are, this is some of the instruction that we're providing to our students to ensure that they are safe and they're learning how to keep themselves safe as well. So you need a safety policy by way of documentation. You need a safety policy. You need a printout of your content filtering log showing the sites that are being blocked. Now, this can be a single page printout from a single day during the school year that shows that certain sites have been blocked, but you need one for every year. So if you haven't been doing that, I highly encourage you. It's probably fresh in your mind right now. When we're done, hop over to GoGuardian, print out one of those pages, throw it in your folder or your E-rate your binder. Well, you don't have to necessarily print it out, but whatever storage you have for your E-rate documentation, keep it with that collection of documentation, so that you can then demonstrate if you were ever asked under audit or PQA or PIA review, if you're ever asked for those things, that you can provide that for each funding year. The hardest thing, though, is that you had to have you need to still have documentation to show that the public notice was issued prior to the meeting and that the meeting itself took place. Minutes of the meeting, for example, a board agenda that was sent out ahead of time, and then minutes of the meeting that were that were gathered during the meeting, both of which need to demonstrate that those there was notice given and there was opportunity given to speak. That documentation sometimes gets buried because those things happened literally like 10 years ago now. SIPA compliance, I think, came along as a part of or just prior to the 2015 efforts to modernize E-rate. So you might be hard pressed to go and find that. And complicating that even further is the fact that there may have been turnover in the job position or the role of whomever's in charge of taking care of E-rate. So finding that documentation could be really, really difficult, if not outright impossible. If you are in that situation, I would encourage you to go ahead and schedule a review of your internet safety policy for an upcoming school board meeting. Make sure that there's an opportunity during that school board meeting for people to speak. They don't have to, but you need to give them the opportunity to do so, and you need to let them know that that opportunity is going to happen ahead of time. And then keep that new documentation that will replace or that will stand instead of anything from previous years that might no longer be locatable, I guess, if that be a word. And then we would ask that this documentation does apply to both your applications, but it also applies to the state level application. And in fact, that's what this Form 479 is for, is we collect this at the state level because we are required as the consortium lead to collect it to demonstrate that SIPA is being complied with by all of our consortium members. So we would ask that you would go ahead and take that data, that sort of those pieces of documentation, and put it in your folder on the on the E-rate district collection site. That way, if we're asked for it under audit, and we have been very recently, in fact, we don't even need to bug you about it. We don't even ask you. I can just drop into that EDCS and into your district's folder and go, there's the information I need, and we can present it, and we avoid any of that problem. Additionally, I think the big advantage here is that you then have a repository for that information. You can drop that annual printout there along with the documentation to show that the one-time meeting was in fact performed. I hear voices. Does somebody have a question?
Actually, Scott, this Jeremy Simpson, I do. That's not me with the open mic there, but
Okay, that's all right.
Talking about that E-rate data collection site, we do not have the ability to organize that by year. Right now, when I go in there, I don't have the ability to hit new folder. That way I can separate it into the 25, 25, 25, 26. Can we get that feature added, or at least have somebody go in there and give us the folders?
Let me have a discussion with our team on that question. I can understand why you would want that, and it might be helpful for that. So let me have a conversation with that, because I think we started out, sort of small, and we're working our way up forward. So we'll see if that. I'm not sure if that's something that that we can do, but we will certainly take it under advisement, and we'll have that conversation.
I've just sent you an email as a reminder.
Awesome, thank you. That's great.
We do have a couple of other questions in the chat, Scott.
Yes.
So Chris wants to know, will our Category 2 budget calculation for 2026 to 2030 use the enrollment that is entered in this district data, or discount data, excuse me, calculation for the district?
That is a dependent question. That depends upon whether or not you apply for Category 2 this year. They will actually finalize your Category 2 budget, and it will be locked in during the PIA review of your first year of the 5-year cycle in which you request Category 2 funds. So if you do have intent to go out for Category 2 funds this year, then your Category 2 budget will be locked in this year. If you wait until next year, 27, 28, or 28, 29, for whatever reason you don't plan to do any refreshes of anything like that, that's fine. There's no problem. It's just that be aware that if you do wait, then it will be at a later date that will lock in that final C2 budget. That's a really good question, and I hope that didn't convolute the answer too much.
Then it looks like Frank wants to know, will board meeting agenda and minutes from February of 25 work for this year if I plan on doing it again next February?
Yeah, board minute agenda and meeting for February of 25. And Frank, just to clarify, you only need to hold that meeting once. You don't have to do that on a yearly basis. The only portion of that documentation that is annual applies to having a copy of that filter log. And the only reason why you need that copy of the filter log is just to prove that, yes, we had something in place doing its job during that funding year. But that's a really good question. So yeah, and if you do it again next February, you can certainly use that as well. That's note taker. That's not a question. Note taker, note taker, note taker. Okay. Yep. Sure. No problem, Frank. Okay. So yeah, and then you'll open or you'll upload a copy of the Form 479, and I think if there are no more questions, I think that covers everything that I was looking to cover this year or this week. Yeah, Stella.
I have a question,
Yes.
and you might have said this. This is Rebecca Emmons. When you said the safety policy,
Mhm.
to upload that documentation, so if we present, could our presentation be uploaded as part of that? You might have already said this, and I just didn't catch it.
If you had a presentation that you did during that meeting, sure.
I mean, would that be enough? Is I guess what my question is.
I would think that it would probably be better. It might be adequate. It's hard to tell sometimes because they are USAC tends to be a little amorphous in their describing exactly what documentation will suffice. So that would be certainly a very good start. I would think that probably meeting minutes and agenda would be the most reliable and probably the most effective ones. But if you have a presentation, for example, if that presentation discussed what's being taught, that's a perfect it's a perfect way of demonstrating that you are in fact teaching within the school, the internet safety and acceptable use.
So it's okay. I mean, I have the meeting minutes and the agenda. I just was thinking that wasn't enough. That's enough.
Oh, yeah, the meeting minutes and the agenda that went out ahead of time should be adequate.
Okay. All right. I was just making sure. So, I mean, we have other stuff too, but I just wanted to make sure that, I don't know, that just isn't enough. So thank you.
Sure.
Scott, this is Jason Morrison at Fairview Independent. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Jason. How are you?
Doing well. We have always in the past done it along with our August informational security and put it into that board meeting.
Okay.
And I put it into that board presentation.
Okay.
Slideshow and everything. Is that okay? I mean,
Sure.
That was one of the things that Emily had recommended to us at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see that there's a problem with that. The only thing you need to make sure that you do have is something that shows that there was an announcement ahead of time that people would have the opportunity to speak on it.
Okay, and we have that for every meeting.
Perfect.
Every meeting they are allowed to speak.
Perfect. So if you have something in that presentation that says, time for folks to speak, something that indicates that there was the opportunity that was granted to the public to speak about it. Yep.
Because every meeting they have the ability to speak.
Yeah.
A sign up sheet,
Sure. Okay, cool. That's great. Yeah, that should work just fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Rebecca, thank you for that. I will also mention that while it doesn't do it by folders, what it does do is make the importance of entering the metadata for your documentation that much more important. So if you want to be able to sort by funding year, you just need to make sure that you are entering the metadata for that documentation as you upload it.
And the reason we chose not to do folders underneath each district is that everybody, it would become difficult to manage on our end. So, because we would have to manually go add that every year. By doing this, you can still get that sorting, but it just makes it a little easier for us to manage. So we appreciate your cooperation.